Hello everybody, this is my research, Impact of Human Activities on Coral Coverage in Sanya, China. I am Tianrui Tan from the Experimental High School attached to Beijing Normal University. First, background. Coral reef is playing a significant role in marine ecosystem and human life. The first significant function of coral reef is to maintain biodiversity. Coral reef gives home to almost 1/3 of the marine species in the world. The second function is to provide food for humans. 10% of the world's wild capture fishery production comes from coral reef regions. The third function is protecting shorelines. During tropical storms, at least 70 to 90% of the energy of the wind-generated waves is absorbed by coral reef. The fourth significant function is supporting recreational activities. Tropical coral reefs are attracting tourists around the world for activities like scuba diving and snorkeling. But coral reef has been seriously affected by human activities, especially along the coast of Indo-Pacific. Examples of human activities include direct harvest of corals, which are currently banned in most countries, including China, and constructions and pollutions, which can cause a damaging effect to coral reef. Overfishing and tourist activities can cause some indirect impacts to coral reef, and tourist activities are often ignored. So we're going to talk about it in the research. Part 2, literature review. The threat to coral reefs are varied. The impact of human activities, for example, recreational activities, account for a major part. Major causes in different regions in the Indo-Pacific is varied. Coral diseases or natural enemy predation, like some kinds of starfish or sponge, has harmed the coral reef health in Xisha Island, China. Climate changes may cause coral bleaching, and this has happened seriously in Bali, Indonesia. Water acidification can dissolve the calcium carbonate skeleton of coral reef, and this has happened in Great Barrier Reef, Australia. Human activities has been recorded in Sanya, China, and some of them may affect coral reef health. Previous studies about Indo-Pacific coral reef lacked focus on quantitative analysis of impact of human activities on coral reefs. And when studying the impact of human activities, linear analysis has been used to analyze the correlation between the environmental factors and coral coverage. A study of the impacts of recreational activities on coral reef in Acumal, Mexico, used a linear analysis to show the coral and algae coverage change under the disturbance of tourists. So we're also going to adapt a kind of linear analysis, multiple linear regression, in today's study. Part 3, research question. The question is, how serious is the impact of tourism-related human activities on the coral community in China? In Sanya, China. The academic significance of this research is using multiple linear regression model to quantify the impact of tourism on coral reef and understanding the leading factors causing coral reef degradation in certain areas. The real-life contributions may be helping people understand the impact of human activities, for example, fishery and tourism, on coral coverage and supporting the design of new coral reef protection measurements. Part 4. Research methodology. We have collected the data related to coral coverage and human activities in Sanya, China from 2005 to 2018 in official databases. The dependent variable is a live coral coverage, which were collected from the report of the situation of Chinese coral reef to 2019. And the independent variables are annual tourist number, annual wild capture fishery production in tons, and annual aquaculture production in tons. the source of those data is Sanya Bureau of Statistics. To analyze the data, we adopt the multiple linear regression method, and the formula is here. Part 5, results. At first, we found that the R-square of those data is 0.832, which means that 83.2% of the coral damage are caused by those human activities. Forest has been proved by this study to affect coral reef health very significantly. We can see a huge negative correlation between tourist number and alive coral coverage. The wild capture fishery in region of Sanya has also caused huge coral damage. We can see that alive coral coverage and annual wild capture fishery production have a negative correlation, very significantly. But the relationship between annual aquaculture production and alive coral reef coral coverage is not the same as those two. The aquaculture production did not affect alive coral coverage very significantly. So in order to protect the coral reef under those human activities, some measurements have to be devised scientifically. In order to protect the coral reef from damages caused by tourism, tourist number restriction and diving spot rotation have to be adopted. In order to cope with the sewage produced by tourism, like the restaurant sewage and the hotel sewage, we have to adopt new sewage treatment. And also, the construction related to tourism must avoid sea reclamation, especially in coral reef areas. In order to protect the corals from fishery areas, from the fishery, the coral reef can be protected by banning disruptive fishing method, which includes bombing or electric fishing, which can kill all the creatures inside a part of coral reef, including corals. Fish prohibit season and fishing prohibit zone can be set in order to let the creatures in the coral reef grow and reproduce. Catch share can be set up in order to reduce the amount of fish being caught so that the coral reef ecosystem will not be damaged that seriously. Aquaculture production can produce some good effects to coral reefs. For example, aquaculture can avoid more wild fish or other animals that are popular in seafood markets to be caught from wild. So conversion of fishery to aquaculture can be encouraged. But the density of aquaculture have to be controlled because a lot of sewage will be produced if the aquaculture is dense. And antibiotics have to be prohibited during aquaculture production because it may negatively affect the chemical equilibrium inside the seawater. And sewage treatment have to be improved, just as the tourism sewage. Aquaculture sewage can also cause eutrophication and other negative effects in the coral reef region. These are my references. Thank you for watching my presentation.